Hi, everybody.
Hey!
That's how it works, right?
That's it.
Today's guest is us.
Is us.
Hi. I'm Philip Lale.
Hi, I'm Kim Tobin Lale.
We're the artistic directors of Fourth Wall Theater Company, and thanks for joining us on this first ever podcast. So why don't we dive into? We're gonna talk a little bit about what this podcast series is going to be, and why we're doing it, and we'll ask each other a couple of questions, and we'll tell you about who some of the guests are going to be, and then we'll say goodnight, and we're going to try out some of the technology that we've been trying to figure out today. Okay, so first, do you want to talk about, honey, about what our goal for this podcast is?
I do. And also I want to thank everybody who's already joined us. We see Sharon and Kaylin and Andy and Kay, and thank you guys for being here. And if anybody has questions, you can put them, type them in over here on the chat, and we will try to get to those. Catherine's going to help us keep track. So please feel free to ask anything while we're chatting away here. So we want to talk about goals. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I mean, why we're doing this.
Well, we thought it would be a good way for us to stay in touch with our community and be a part of keeping a conversation going about art and creativity and what makes people passionate about doing live theater and being a part of a community of artists, and whatever theater that is that you feel is your home. Here in Houston, we're lucky. People go to lots of theater. They don't just go to one. They go to lots of groups. And I think people tend to think of one group maybe more as home, but they visit lots of different theaters in town, and we love that. And we feel very special. We feel very lucky to be such a part of a special community. So we want to have a conversation with lots of people in our community over the next weeks and talk to them about their aesthetic of acting, their historical background on how they came to what they're doing and why they're in Houston, and what they love about art, what they love about this community. So we thought it'd be nice to offer that to all of you to get to know all the artists in your community, as well as a few of our great friends from around the country who do some of the things we love so much that we've been able to bring in to Houston.
Yeah.
We're going to go through a list of people that you can expect to see over the next weeks a little bit later in the program, but that's what I think.
And I think we're also doing this because, well, in lieu of trying to stream some like a recording of a play we did in the past. Kim and I both feel that those recordings, which are archival and aren't professionally produced, well, they're professionally made, but they're not produced for audience consumption, and we don't think they fare particularly well, on a computer screen. So we're not doing that, and we're going to do this instead. Try to talk about our art and what Kim was talking about. I think before we start any of that, we would like to address in the past couple of weeks, the Black Lives Matter movement has begun, and Fourth Wall, we issued a statement, and we feel very passionately about that movement. But we are white theater makers, and we feel that what our job is right now in regard to that is to listen and to talk to our constituency. And so we've begun doing that in a one-on-one personal way and attending some meetings and trying to educate ourselves. And unless somebody on the feed really wants to talk about that, we probably aren't going to talk about that anymore tonight. Several of our guests are Black theater makers, and they may want to talk about it. We don't know. We'll find out.
So yeah.
Okay. So good. Do you want to talk about why we pick the plays we do? Do you want to go into that? Sometimes people want to know about that. That's kind of a thing we struggle with.
I think that there's a lot that goes into picking plays, and I think people don't always understand that. I think that's something that people are curious about. Why these plays and not other plays, or what kind of criteria go into what you pick, and how things get put into your season. Well, first of all, just so everybody remembers, or we just go through some logistics. We only do 4 shows in a season. So we, right off the top, we're always like, oh, there's so much great theater. How do we even pick 4? It's so difficult to do, and sometimes we like to put something from the historical canon on the docket, Shakespeare.
I love Shakespeare and Shaw and Chekhov and
we do.
Arthur Miller and Tennessee
Williams, Edward Albee,
Euripides,
Greek. That we love the Greek plays. We love, there's just a huge canon of plays from playwrights all through history that you'd love to be able to put something out there. And you can't always do what you want to do. So first of all, you look at those plays, and then you look at everything new. And Philip and I take some trips out to New York, and we try in Chicago, and we try to see what the new pieces are that are coming up through some of the smaller off-Broadway venues or smaller professional theater venues, and then also some of the new Broadway hits that are small cast plays, which is also another thing that we have to take into consideration, is the size of the cast. There's two reasons for that. First of all, as all of you know who come to our theater's small. So putting 15 people on stage is not necessarily very practical for us. And also, we keep our staff of actors and designers and all of the artists within a reasonable amount because we believe so much in paying living wages and higher paying wages. Whereas if we have 20 people on stage, keeping those wages up for everybody is pretty difficult. Whereas if we do a cast of 4 to 6 people, we can pay pretty good wages to everybody, know that we're going to be able to do that. We don't have an issue with the spacing and being able to accommodate everyone on stage, and we meet all of our mission criteria.
Yeah,
so there's
logistics. We make this thing called a budget every year, right? And in that budget, it tells us how many actors we can afford. And like this coming season, it's 20 actors total. So if we do a play that has 12 in one show, that leaves 8 for the other 3 shows. So you begin to get an idea of, if you pick one play that takes up resources, then you have to kind of spread everything else out over the rest of the season. And we always get the plays we pick first, right?
That would be so great. No, never, hardly do we get the plays we pick first. And there's another number of reasons for that. Well, first of all, applying for rights for a play, you put in an application to the license house, which holds the rights to a play. And now a brand new play is always quite often in high demand. And the way that a play is paid for, the way that a playwright gets paid for their work is in accordance with the number of seats and the ticket pricing for a particular venue that wants the play. So, of course, a brand new play, a playwright's going to want it to go to the Alley or to Tuts because it's a much bigger payday than a 99-seat theater that charges a much less ticket price than a theater that has thousands of seats.
So are you saying that the Alley gets first crack at any play?
Absolutely.
Of course they do.
Absolutely, and they should. A playwright's going to get a lot more money. We believe in pay, so we want the Alley to do as many new plays as they can.
So if we want to do a new play, let's say, what's the play that we saw with the two-person play we saw in New York on Broadway?
The Sound Inside.
The Sound Inside is a new play. We're interested in it.
We like it.
And but if we ask for the rights for it, the licensing house calls the Alley and they say, hey, there's interest in this play from another theater in Houston. Do you want it? And then the Alley gets to pick.
Yeah.
And then you go down the line.
Then they'll go down the line. They'll go to stages. They'll go to 80 players. Because all those houses pay more money than we pay simply because of size.
We don't know what exactly the ladder is, but
it's going to be bigger theaters to smaller theaters.
Right. As it should be.
And it should be that way.
We want the playwright to get paid.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we end up losing plays sometimes because of that. And sometimes the license house will just hold a play for a year. That's brand new.
Was that a reason that last season we did a full season of all white male playwrights?
That had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
We did apply for 2 women and 2 people of color plays by people of color. So that we didn't get any of them.
Oh, authors. That's
authors.
Right,
yeah.
I was like, what play is
what
called
plays
2 women?
People of color and what plays called 2 women? No. So, and we didn't get any of them. So then we had to go back into, we have like a reserve list that Philip and I always have plays that were this is a great play.
That's actually something we're going to try to look at is like when we have a slate of plays that we want and we don't get them, do we default to, white men?
Yeah, which probably just has been, for us, plays that we've been more familiar with. And so we're working very hard to make ourselves more familiar with a much bigger eclectic range of plays and playwrights and people of different cultures and races.
Sean Rupert Maynor. I don't think I know you, Sean, but you say you can't wait for y'all to open back up. And boy, we can't wait either. Thank you. We don't know when that's going to be.
Oh,
We do.
we do have some fourth wall people that we want to shout out to. Joe P, Kay, and
VIPs.
Dan.
Hi,
Most of you
everybody.
guys know Joe P, our lovely, beautiful Joe P from Jesus Hop the A Train and Lobby Hero, Glass Menagerie. Yay. Hi, Joe. Joe does a Monday night show, you guys, you should watch live called Quarantine. Oh my God, I'm going to get it wrong. Quarantine Corner? Joe, write it down. Joe, write it down. Quarantine Corner. I've watched it twice. It's so good. It's so much fun. But anyway, Joe has a beautiful show with Brandon Morgan and Kendrick, and you guys should check in on Monday.
We have Dan O'Brien, one of our board members, and the half of the J of J&D Entertainment, who is a wonderful supporter of us. So let's see. Why don't we dive into who our guests on this are going to be? And the actors Quarantine
Corner. That's Joe Palmore and Brandon Morgan and Kendrick. They have a great show on Monday nights, and he put his YouTube link up, you guys. Fourth Wall did. We did. Tim went and got it. So copy that, you guys, and go see his show. They are doing some really fun conversations and some really important conversations, and talk about Black Lives Matter. Joe and Brandon and Kendrick are doing some wonderful conversations for everybody to listen to. And I'm trying to check in there and be a responsible white theater maker and learn from my friend Joe.
Okay.
So and the performances, good stuff.
Joe's emoji is great. Thumbs up. So let's talk about who's going to be on this show with us. And we're going to try our technology here.
Here we go.
Hey, it worked.
Yes.
Except you can't see me.
Hi. All right.
So actually, I'll just get out and you talk about
all right.
people.
So
I'm going to do this.
Our first guest next week is going to be the wonderful, incomparable Eileen Morris, the artistic director of the Ensemble Theater. So you guys aren't going to want to miss that. We're really excited that Eileen has agreed to join us. And then we have another slated bunch of guests to join us. We don't have exact dates. The rest are not in order. Eileen is first. Alice Gatling, who actor, director, educator. I don't know if you guys all have seen Alice. You haven't seen Alice in our theater, but I directed Alice over at Best of Enemies at 80 Players. She's directed over at Stages. She's directed a number of pieces. She's directed at 80 Players.
She directed me at 80 Players.
She directed Philip, yes,
in
The God Committee.
A great experience.
She's a wonderful human being, and we are so excited to have her.
I worked with Alice in several shows at the Alley, including The Crucible and Our Lady of 110th Street, which was a great production.
110th Street?
121st Street. I was thinking it was further south. Our Lady of 121st Street by Stephen Adley Gurgis. It was directed by James Black. And actually, it's one of the shows that I'm most proud of in my life. So it'll be nice to have Alice on. Who do we have after that?
And next we've got, Jennifer Laporte. So those of you who know Jennifer is a Houston prodigy. She came out of Episcopal High School, and she went to NYU. She's now in Canada and is working in television like crazy. The girl is on fire. We're really excited to hear about her career and how she has just taken off. So she's a wonderful Houston native that we're going to be really excited to be able to talk with. And you guys can get some tips on career moves.
True success story. She was also in The Crucible with me and Alice.
And she was in the Fourth Wall production of Stage Kiss.
She was indeed.
Yes. So she's lovely. We love Jennifer.
Excellent. And then after...
and wonderful Rebecca Udden. Yes. So
it says Rebecca Greene Udden.
Yes, but
we know her as Becky.
We know her as Becky. She's a Houston legend.
Yeah.
Been here forever, Main Street.
Of Main Street Theater. She directed me once over at Main Street in a production of Arcadia, which I'm also very proud of. And gosh, I mean, to hear from someone who's been around this scene and watched it change and grow for this long will be a treat for us.
Yeah, she's terrific. We're lucky.
And let's go on.
And then we've got our wonderful new artistic director over at the Alley who's doing some amazing things, Rob Melrose. He's graciously agreed to talk with us.
The new kid in town.
New kid in town who's doing just so wonderful. Just such a great person. Has been so so supportive and fantastic to all the theaters in Houston. Just out there talking to everybody, seeing shows. We're really excited to have him on. I think he's been a really great influence for a lot of the smaller theaters in terms of making us all feel like the Alley is a real hub for small theaters to seek out inspiration from. So we're really excited to get him on here too.
Yeah, talk about a change in the air.
Yeah, good
That's
guy.
a really lovely, lovely man, and so it'll be fun to have him on. You know, Rob, maybe you might not know, he founded a theater in San Francisco with his wife, so we might get into talking
Yeah.
about the joys of running a small theater company with your spouse.
Oh,
I'm
I
sure
gotta
you'll
step
like
off
that.
screen for a minute. Okay.
You've been warned, Rob. We're gonna put you on the spot about that. And then who's next in this?
Oh, Leslie Swackhammer. Oh, I love this woman. She is the executive director of the Susan Smith Blackburn Prize and an incomparable director. Oh, so good. You know, Leslie, I have to tell you a story about Leslie. And I told this to Leslie, but Leslie is one of the reasons that I actually believed I could be successful in this town and have a career, and that I shouldn't just quit and leave this town. When I first came to Houston and I started auditioning, I was like, I'm never going to get anything. I'm 40 years old. How am I going to ever work? And I auditioned for Rabbit Hole. Now, Shelley Black played the role in Rabbit Hole, but it came down to, I think, Shelley Black and I, and there might have been another person in the callbacks. But Leslie made me feel, and nobody knew me. I was brand new in town. But Leslie made me feel like I actually had really some talent to offer this city, and that she was so happy she met me and encouraged me to believe in myself in this city. She was really an important part of me feeling like this could be a home for me as an artist. So I'm so glad she's agreed to be on the show, and I really feel like she was an important part of me believing that I could be a part of Houston. So I'm glad she's here, and you guys should all know her. She's a beautiful person.
I like her too.
He does.
Oh.
She loves him too.
I've been directed by Leslie several times. I think both times at stages, but one of them, there was a guy in the cast, Tim Highland, who is from Seattle, and he knew Leslie from Seattle, and he spent the whole time calling her the Hammer. Which I don't think anybody calls you that, Leslie, in town, but Tim Highland did.
And also another little piece of fourth wall trivia. Leslie was the person who put me in touch with the props manager at Seattle Rep who rented us the umbrella gun for Virginia Woolf. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Thank you, Leslie.
The hardest prop in American theater to find, a shotgun that shoots
an umbrella. And Leslie Swackhammer helped me find that.
And that thing worked at least half the time.
At least half the time.
That's no reflection on Leslie.
Yeah.
Let's go on. And who's this?
And our dear, wonderful friend Eric Tucker, Bedlam's artistic director. Those of you who remember the beautiful production of St. Joan that we brought in from New York, that won Best Visiting Production the year it was here, because it's just an unbelievable show. And he does such beautiful work. And he's such a wonderful, generous person, and was just thrilled to hear from us and come on board and talk about what they do. We're really excited to get him on this show and talk about the kind of theater they do, how he comes to these beautiful visions of these classical pieces and turns them into something just like nothing you've ever seen. We just saw his production of The Crucible in New York this past year, and it was just something to behold. It was really fantastic.
Yeah, we've seen 4 or 5 of his shows, and he's a real inspiration to both of us as far as directing goes. And he's a really nice guy. His picture makes him look, I think, nicer than he is. So that's like I said.
I'm going to tell him you said that.
Well, it's the happiest I've ever seen him look. I mean, I've seen him happy, I think, but that's the happiest by far.
Right?
Nice picture, Eric. Okay. And
then I think one more. And Auden Thornton. You talk about Auden.
So Audie, as she's known to, I think, friends and family, is another Houston success story, a Houston native. She grew up here, and I met her first in Christmas Carol. She has 3 sisters. I was in Christmas Carol with all of them. And but Audie went off to first Interlochen High School, and then she was at St. John's, and then Interlochen for a year, and then she went to the Juilliard School, which is of course, my alma mater. Really neat. Two Houston women that I know of that I've worked with here have gone on to Juilliard. Tracy Thomason, now known as Tracy Lane, and Audie. But anyway, so Audie is now, I think she's living most of the time in New York. But what TV show
No,
is she on?
she's in
She's in
she's
LA
in
now.
Los Angeles most of the
Yeah.
time. She did a recurring role on Us and Them, I believe, and now she is one of the lead people on 30 somethings. 30 somethings.
The
It's
next
the
30 something.
the next
Yeah,
30
the sequel
something.
to 30 something.
Yeah, so she's really also just taken off. She's
Yeah.
doing terrific. So we're really excited about her. She's great.
It'll
So,
be really fun to talk with her and find out how, what her journey has been, sort of
yeah.
from Houston to the stage,
Yeah.
and then to working in TV and film, like
Yeah.
like her, like Jennifer Laporte. They're
Yeah.
close in age, and I think they know
Both
each
have
other.
had a great career. Yeah, she did. We saw Audie in a production in New York at the Red Bull Theater of "'Tis Pity She's a Whore," and it was really wonderful. She was really good. We had
Yeah, it was
dinner
really
with her.
cool.
It was a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there it is. So that's what we have coming, and hopefully after we see all of those artists and beautiful people, we'll get to have some more people on board. But that's our start. So.
Yeah. So we have other stuff we can talk about. Should we go a little bit longer just to see what it's like?
I think we should give some people a little bit more time to come on. We're shooting for about 45 minutes for these things, and that way we give you guys a little time to ask questions. So right now, if anybody wants to pop up some questions about anything, please feel free to type them in. Catherine's watching. We'll also keep an eye on that if there's anything we can answer. And we have a few other things we can talk about in terms of our aesthetic and what we do. Please feel free to ask us direct questions about ourselves too.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about some of the issues about reopening and
Mm-hmm.
why we aren't able to make any definite ideas or any definite plans right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about that, or?
Well, I can talk a little bit about there's well, of course, the main thing is that for us, most people understand that we are in equity theater. So we're a professional theater. In other words, we're recognized by equity as a theater that adheres to particular equity rules. We abide by rules that equity sets in motion for how many equity artists we have to pay every year or hire every year, and rules that we abide by in the theater.
And some of those rules have to do with safety.
Yes, and so just in general all the time. But now that we are under rules and regulations around COVID, equity is in the process of setting out what their ideas of safety for actors are with the COVID restrictions and guidelines that they want in place for their artists to go back to work. Now, as an equity theater, we have to cooperate with our union. So whatever we talk to our union about, whatever the union comes out with, we've got to cooperate and collaborate, or we could lose our union status as a theater, and we don't want to do that. We worked very hard to get it in 10 years. That's a really fast time to get your equity status with that union, and we did a lot of work to get it. So we certainly want to adhere to that. We want everybody to be safe. We want the actors to feel like they're performing in an environment where they're taken care of. So there's a lot of regulations that we don't quite know what they are yet.
Yeah, we don't, because equity hasn't come out with them yet, and obviously we're not public health experts, but equity has hired a public health expert, and so they're gonna bring out these guidelines, and we're gonna have to see what they are, and we're gonna have to propose a plan to equity, and we're gonna have it ratified by the union before we're even able to let anybody on the stage here. So we're really in limbo right now.
And the other part of that is we have to see, this is the other thing that us theaters are struggling with. If we have 100 seats and equity says, okay, we'll let you do 40% capacity. Well, if we do 40% capacity, and even if we sold out, does that fiscally meet a amount of money coming in that makes it worth paying all the artists that we have to pay to come in and perform, and then anybody we have to hire to help us with safety regulations? Does that monetary exchange make sense? Does it make sense to do a show in front of 40 people spread out all over a theater when theater is about this exchange that's supposed to happen? There's so many things to take into consideration. Once we get guidelines, then there's the fiscal amount of income that we can make has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
So it's
And
a big bunch of hurdles and questions and guidelines.
And it's not just about the audience. Of course, it's about, we anticipate things possibly like who can touch an actor's costume? How many times does it have to be laundered? Who can touch it when it's laundered? Who can touch a prop? Who can't touch a prop? Is there someone who has to be, taking care of all this stuff? In other words, somebody else we have to hire. It's all really up in the air right now. We don't know the answers to any of these questions
Well,
yet.
and the other thing is you have to remember is if we open a show on a Friday and Sunday one of the actors has COVID, we're shut down for 2 weeks because everybody else is quarantined for 2 weeks. So, and we certainly don't have the money to hire cast A and cast B,
Or cast C.
or cast C.
I just
Right?
want to point out that my
Yeah.
wife continues to hit this table,
Oh,
which
I'm
is
sorry.
connected to the camera and the microphone. It's great. It's
Stop
like
it.
it's like
I'll
working
just
with
hit you.
Buddy Rich.
I deal with this all the time. Always criticized. I'm always criticized. Yeah, well, you used to have
Take
hair.
my head and go,
Yeah.
I used to have hair. What kind of a thing is that to
Yeah.
say?
Highlight the plays. Oh, what plays? Oh, well, have been instructed that we're supposed to highlight of our plays that we have done in this theater. This for those of you who remember.
I'll do that. You
I don't know
talk
where they
about
are.
'em. I got them.
So we wanted to do a little stroll down memory lane. And then if anybody wants to kind of put up any of the plays they remember as their favorites, we'd love to hear that from you. Our very first play, those of you who've been with us since the beginning, if those of you who can remember, was Debt Collectors, which was an adaptation that Philip worked on primarily, and I kind of helped him with a little bit of August Strindberg's Creditors. We did it at Obsidian. It was before we came over here to for Studio 101.
And who was in that play with us? It was you and me and one
David
other person.
Rainey.
Yeah. David Rainey, the wonderful actor
Yeah.
in the company at the Alley, and he
The
was in
Landing
his-
Theater Company's executive director and
yeah,
artistic
and he
director.
was at Juilliard when I was there. He was in his last year when I
Mhm.
was in my first year, and he was the hot stuff at Juilliard. He
Yeah.
was just, I admired him so much then, and I still do. And then what's next on this?
Oh, God of Carnage. So much fun. I think that might be the most fun I ever had in a play. I will never forget for the rest of my life running across that back elevated stage area at full speed and jumping on the back of Drake Simpson. It was so much fun. That play was one of my favorite things ever. That was a best play for us in 2013
Best play, what do you mean?
in the Houston Press Awards.
Oh.
So that was very fun. It was just a good time. That play's so great, you guys. If you didn't see our production, just anytime you get a chance to see that show. It's so much
I
fun.
neither was in it nor directed it, but I was watching it one day, and I was sitting behind these two boys. They were about 14 years old, and they were kind of with it, kind of in and out. But there's a moment in that play where a character throws up, projectile vomits, and those boys, they went like this. They went. They couldn't believe what they were seeing, and it was so much fun for me to see. That was directed by Justin Doran, our
Yeah.
friend Justin Doran.
And it had the
Excellent.
wonderful Kay Almond, who we miss terribly in Houston, beautiful actress living now in Door County. I miss her a lot.
Michelle Britton says she was at Debt Collectors. That's neat.
Oh, nice.
Yay, thank you.
Ah.
So what else do we have to highlight here?
Oh, Winter's Tale. Oh, I loved our production of Winter's Tale. That was a collaborative directing experience by Philip and I, and a beautiful, beautiful production with just everybody worked so hard. It was I just love that play. I just think it's a beautiful, magical, lovely play and one of my favorites. So I'm glad we got to. That's Shantae and Maddie on there.
Yeah, they're playing Florizel and Perdita at that moment in the play. It
Oh,
was
Eric Bradley. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric. I think it was-
Justin Doran.
Hey!
Oh, there he is. God of Carnage director and Mr. Darcy in the wonderful Pride and Prejudice. Yay. And the God game. Oh, Justin, I did it again. I'm hitting the table. I'm going to sit back.
Justin's wife Robin married
Yes.
Tim and me.
Justin
and
Dorn's wife married us.
Justin sent us some photos from the wedding today. I don't know if you saw
Oh,
that
I'm so excited. Oh,
yet. We are off topic.
yes, we are.
Winter's Tale was I loved that production of Winter's Tale. It was one of our first Shakespeare's that we did. We did it with about 7 people, I think, 7 actors, and it was an experiment for us in co-directing and several moments that I was really, really proud of.
Yeah, it was a beautiful show. So, all right, what's next? Is there anything else? Is that the end?
No. Yes, you
Oh,
got
I
to
gotta
do
go
it
down
down
there.
here.
Oh.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
That was the arrival of a dream of my whole life. That was one of those shows that I wanted to do my whole life, and so happy that it was such a wonderful production. Philip and I had a great time. Teresa and Matt Hune were fantastic. Teresa Zimmerman, Matt Hune. Jennifer Dean directed it, and just lovely. It was so hard. I remember the first time I ever tried to do it from Act 1 to Act 3. When I got to the end of Act 2, I couldn't do Act 3. I was so exhausted. I was like, oh my God, this is like jogging. I have to build up the stamina to finish this play. Really, really tough, but so much fun and such a great run for us. We were so proud of that show. We're so happy. So many people came and had just roared and had so much fun in that show. Oh, well, that will be a memory for my whole life. Thank you, Houston, for letting us do that show. Wonderful.
After we did that show, I played George in it, and I was talking to James Black, who played George in the Alley production right around 2001-ish. He was magnificent. But
sure.
I said something to him about Act 3, and he goes, oh, yeah, well, I was talking to Edward about it. And he basically said, I wrote it like in a night, and it's kind of free form, and don't worry too much about what it means. Or he said something like that. So so I remember thinking, God, I wish I'd known that before I was doing it, because I was like, I could never figure it out. We have a visitor. Our managing director, Tim Ritchie, just crashed the party. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim. Oh,
Nice.
he's running
going
away.
like this.
Yeah.
All right. So Art Nolting, or maybe
Yes.
Pam, says about Virginia Woolf, you think you were exhausted. You should have been in the audience.
That's great. That's awesome. And Deborah Hope is there. Hi, Deborah. Deborah Hope was in our wonderful production of Reckless. Hysterical, played the doctor. So funny.
Here we go. I can show you Art's comment. So anyway, we'll leave that up for a second.
Yep. And Nan Earl has joined us, a wonderful fourth wall patron who we adore. Hi, Nan. So this is great.
Here's Lobby Heroes, the next play we were going to talk about.
Lobby Hero. Oh,
And it says Best Play 2017. What does that mean
yes.
again?
Houston Press Award for Best Play.
Thanks, Houston Press.
Thank you, Houston Press.
They've supported us from the beginning.
They
and
have.
we
They've been terrific to
know it
us.
and we love it. Thank you.
I love that they've been excited about a lot of our shows. Lobby Hero was just a wonderful experience for me. All the actors were so great. This is, I believe this is my first time with Joe P. Played our night supervisor,
William.
William, and then Jeff was Adam Gibbs, and then Chelsea McCurdy, and then of course Drake Simpson playing our wonderful villain, horrible cop Bill, which was, it was just a beautiful production. The set was beautiful. Ryan McGettigan, Christina Gianelli's lights. Who did the sound? Was it Michael?
You directed it.
Gosh, I don't remember. I feel bad. Whoa. But everybody who worked on it, just beautiful, meticulous work and a beautiful show. The acting was beautiful. Everybody worked their tail off. I have to say, those actors, we worked so hard on those characters, and I love you guys. It was a wonderful experience for me how hard you guys worked. So thank you for that beautiful show.
And so those 2 shows that won Best Play so far, God of Carnage and Lobby Hero, I neither directed nor was in. Just take note of that. Here's Jesus Up the A-Train, Best Play 2019. Houston Press again, thanks.
Yeah.
I also didn't direct it, and I wasn't in it.
I
Houston
know,
Press.
I do much better when he's not around. Does anybody notice this? I like plays where I get to spit on him and throw things on him. Can anybody put one of those up there? Put in the comments. We'll do it.
Oh, my God.
I said that live.
That's
Amazing.
Good. It's good. If you don't know who the Bickersons are, you should Google the Bickersons, because strangely, Kim and I won't come up, but you'll be introduced to something
Yeah.
that's actually a lot of fun.
That's right.
So
No, so this play, I read this play, and the minute I read it, I knew. Well, here's an interesting story, though. I read this play, and I knew that I wanted to do it. But the reason we did this play was because we had a reading series the year before, and in that reading series was a play called Skeleton Crew by Dominic Morisseau, and I wanted that play, and I tried to get the rights. But guess what? The story we told you earlier about getting rights and how difficult that is. Well, I couldn't get the rights because the Alley got the rights, which is fantastic. I'm more than happy that the Alley did the play because Dominic then had a wonderful payday. The show got seen by more people, and that's perfect. But here I am going, oh, I wanted that play. Now what am I going to do? So I started reading, and I had seen 100 Lady 121st Street, not his, but I saw the original one in New York. But I had also just seen Gravity Players, Last Days of Judas Iscariot, which was fantastic. And I was remembering about Stephen Adly Guirgis. And I thought, you know what? I should read his other plays. And I read this, and bam, I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this play. So that's how this play got put into the season instead of Skeleton Crew. So that's how those things happen. Okay, interesting little piece of interesting stuff.
let's say hi on live to your cousin Jason in Florida.
Jason,
Hi, Jason.
Davidson, hi. We miss you.
That's
We
kinda
wish we
neat.
were back. We'll be back soon.
So is that the last play that we?
I think that's the
That
last
is. We're
one.
back
Yep.
to the
So
first
we're back
one we
on
were
those. So
talking
that's
about.
that's the
We'll
end
get
of
rid
that.
We're getting so good at this. And now, we can get away from each other.
All right.
A little.
Yeah. So, yeah. Quit pushing me. Get off of me.
So we've been at this for 44 minutes, which
Okay.
I think I signed up for 45 minutes. But
Oh,
I think that are there some other things we want to talk about tonight, or should we? Anybody? If you have questions, nobody's really put in questions, which is
Yeah,
great,
which
which
is fine.
But if you have anything, type it on in.
oh, so yeah, if you, Eileen will be on with us next week. So if any of you are going to join us, you should maybe think about things you might want to ask Eileen.
And if you
because
weren't with
she'll-
us at the beginning, we're talking about Eileen Morris, who's the artistic director at the Ensemble Theater, right? So yeah.
Yep. So we'll be happy to, we're going to be excited to have her, and we'd love for you guys to prepare some stuff maybe to ask her during the conversation.
Yeah.
I think
There's one question that I do want to ask you.
me.
We were talking about this earlier, yes, and you can ask me too if you want.
Okay.
Is there an actor who you admire or just like? And we're talking famous, like movie or TV or like big Broadway stars. We'll keep this out of Houston.
Mhm.
That you think people would be surprised by.
Well, one of my favorite actors, that's a Broadway actor that I think people know, some people know who are theater buffs, but other people don't know who it is an actress called Julie White. And people will tell me sometimes they'll watch her in a show and go, you kind of remind me of Julie White. And I'll be like, oh, oh my God. Because I adore her. She is a great actress that quite oftentimes is often cast as like the understudy or the person who comes in and replaces people. Somebody she replaces very often is Laurie Metcalf. And she also replaced Sigourney Weaver in Vanya Sonia Masha Spike. But she's so amazingly powerful in her own right. And a couple of my friends who saw her in Doll's House 2 when she came in from Laurie Metcalf said they actually liked her better. Not to say anything against Laurie Metcalf. She was fantastic. That's who I saw. But I just think she's amazing. And so she's one of my favorites. And of course, except for Michelle Britton.
Yeah. She thought, yeah.
So I'm sorry,
That's
Michelle.
true.
I didn't mean to leave you out.
Because this is what we're responding to.
All right, that's mine. So how
Michelle's
about you, Philip?
hilarious.
Who's your favorite, maybe not known?
Well, so I mean, you picked
or
Julie
lesser
White
known.
because she's not known or like unsung in a way,
Mhm.
and that's fine. But I think before I say mine, we have to do this. Please give the viewers an update on the Batman. Batman is our dog. She's 10 months old, and I want to tell everybody that she is understanding the word "stay." And why is that?
Because you're training her.
Yes.
Okay, fine. You get a little pat on the back.
Whatever.
All
Now,
right.
how do I get rid of that? I lost it. Oh, there we
I
go.
don't know.
Okay,
All
that's
right.
Kaylin.
All
Kaylin
right.
is our
Stage
excellent
manager and
stage
excellent
manager and staff member
social
and
media pro. Yeah.
good person. So what actor do I just like? I figured it out on the way here.
Oh,
It's
who?
Keanu.
Oh, you like
I
Keanu?
used to hate Keanu because I think, he's just not like a great actor. But now I watch him in movies and I love him so much. He's just obviously like a good person. I think he's in the wrong profession. But,
I love
he's
him
just
too,
like, he's so, like,
I don't
he's
even
just
care if he's not
lovely to
great.
look at. But he's relaxed and he's like, he's accepted that he is just
what he
kind
is.
of what he is. And he's good to people and he gives money to causes.
He's kind.
And, yeah, I love Keanu Reeves. There. I said
I like him too. He's so cute. You know who else I like? Now we're talking about cute. If you don't know what The Last Kingdom is, ladies, you need to watch Uhtred, Son of Uhtred.
That's not the name of the show.
It's The Last Kingdom, isn't it? Or is it The Kingdom?
Yeah, but you
It's
said
The Last Kingdom.
Uhtred, Son of
Well,
Uhtred.
Uhtred is the guy. That's why you need to watch it. They're all good, but
The actor's name is Alexander.
I'm just doing you a favor, ladies.
Alexander Draymond. You'll like it. He's like Keanu.
Oh.
He's lovely to look at, and yeah,
Yeah.
he's a
So, all right. Well, that's our little wrap up fun fact about artistic directors Kim and Philip.
Deborah Hope says she loves Keanu personally, but
Not
not
his
in
acting.
acting.
Well,
Not in Shakespeare.
you don't have to love every actor
Oh,
for their
whatever,
acting.
Anyway.
You can just look at them.
Well, gosh,
We're regressing.
We've never done anything like this, and I thought it was kind of fun. Did you like it?
I had a good time.
Do you want to like smack the table a couple times before we stop?
I'm gonna smack you.
What's up?
You know, you're pushing it. So this is gonna be it for us today. We're really happy we got to come and visit you. So I think we're gonna end real quick with Philip's hairdo from 2012.
No, we're not. No.
Wait.
Hi.
There he is.
Hi.
Look at it.
I'm Philip Lale.
And I'm Kim Tobin
Oh,
Lale, and we are the
How do you like it?
co-executive directors of Start Make It Theater
I
Company.
think that's
We
great.
are here first to thank you for making our first production, Body Awareness, and Start Make It Theater Company such a success.
All right,
We're
I'll
supposed
stop
to
it.
play
You
it.
see,
wait.
we're here in our
I'm
permanent
gonna get
home,
rid of that. Now look what you
Studio
did.
101, and although we love
Hold
it
on, I'm
and
getting
it's
it off.
beautiful, it is
I don't know
still
where it went.
a work in progress. There's a lot we need to do here.
There we are now. So we're gonna say goodbye, and we froze anyway. So
Whatever. Here's how
Beyond
it
the
works.
Fourth Wall is produced by
bye,
Fourth Wall
everybody.
Theater Company,
We're gonna see you next
Houston's
week.
home for extraordinary performances up close. Each guest is paid for their appearance on this series in accordance with our mission to pay artists a living wage. Follow the links in the video description to support Fourth Wall with a tax-deductible gift or to subscribe to our upcoming 10th anniversary season.